Welcome back to Black Girl Diagnosed. Today we are joined by Diane J. Wright. She is a founder of Autastic, an autistic-led
Hmm.
organization dedicated to supporting late identified autistic adults with a particular focus on Black, Indigenous, and other people of color. As a disability advocate and certified diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility media consultant, Diane works to advance authentic neurodivergent representation and inclusive storytelling across film, television, and media. After discovering her own autistic identity in adulthood, Diane created Autastic to provide the community resources and understanding she wished she had existed during her own journey. What began as a small online support group has grown into a thriving international community where thousands of autistic adults connect, learn, and advocate together. Through her writing, public speaking, consulting, and advocacy, Diane champions the voices of late identified autistic people, particularly those from historically underrepresented communities. Her work challenges stereotypes, promotes neurodiversity affirming practices, and empowers autistic individuals to embrace their identities with confidence and pride. Thank you for joining us today. I'm so glad to finally meet you, and
Me
welcome to Black
too.
Girl Diagnosed.
That was a whole lot.
Well, you've done great things and you're doing amazing things.
Ah, girl, I'm getting old. It's good. It's good. I made it. Thank you. So are you. I'm really glad to meet you too.
Thank you. I remember I was just telling my dad, I'm like, this is somebody that I can remember from the time that I really got online that has, always had my back.
Oh, thank you.
So you're welcome.
Yeah, we have to stick together. There are so few
Yeah.
of us, and some of us have really gone through it. I have gone through it. People have just not been able to continue advocating because of how the world treats the work that we do. So anytime I see any one of us out here putting our faces and our voices forward on behalf of our community, I mean, we gotta do this together. We
Yeah, I
have to.
appreciate that. Yeah, I intentionally take breaks just for my mental well-being and a lot of people don't know this about me, but like I come from an activist family, so I have been
Oh,
in
cool.
done in-person marches and things of that nature, stood up for police brutality. So I've always done
Mm,
this. So somebody made a comment saying that I didn't speak up about I don't know if it was Nolan Wells. I don't remember if that's what it was, but I had
mm,
to remind them that, I've got my first death threat when I was 6 years old for standing up for people. So if
hmm
you don't, just because you don't see me talking about it online, it doesn't mean that I'm not working behind the scenes and doing other things. So I don't think people understand that, everything doesn't happen on Instagram.
Definitely. And just because we're talking about one thing doesn't mean we don't care about other things or don't
Yeah,
live at
exactly.
intersections. We are not superheroes. We're just doing what we do because we have the ability and the desire to do it. And
Right.
I don't do video. I will do an interview like this when it's important, but I don't do what you
Well,
do,
I really
right?
appreciate you being here. Yeah, I appreciate you being here. I do.
Yeah.
But I feel like I could talk to you all day, so I'm going to get into the questions.
Yeah.
Your work often explores the intersection of autism with racism, ableism, and ageism, and
Mhm.
other forms of oppression. Why is it so important to have these conversations together instead of treating them as separate issues?
Yeah, the world likes to do that, to silo things, and it does make it easier to address specific injustices one at a time. However, especially when you're Black and autistic, you are living at many different intersections of all these invisible forces that shape
Yeah.
life. Not just our life, all of our lives, right? And so I noticed that when people started showing up at our doorsteps, at Autastic's doorstep, and over time, I just noticed that people were treating that they found out they're autistic as an individual issue, as a thing about them only. And if they just figured out the right solution and apply it, then life would be better. And unfortunately, we are in the middle of all of this soup of things happening, and we can't do that alone. We can't make change alone. We can't
Right.
dig out of the forces that got us to the place where we didn't learn we were autistic until well into adulthood. We can't do that by ourselves. We can only do that together. So, with ableism being so deeply entrenched with colonization, I want to make sure people understand that there's a lot more to starting this journey and changing and living the life that you can live than just unmasking
Yeah.
and and getting on with it. It's there's a lot of stuff to sort of be aware of and to um address, I guess, in your own lives. That's a long-winded answer. There's just a lot
Yeah.
going on other than learning you're autistic.
Yeah, I think that a lot of times, because I get this all the time and people are always telling me that I'm a racist because I speak about how race affects me as a black autistic woman, and I get those people saying autism is autism, it doesn't
Hmm.
have no, yeah, and I just block them.
Yeah.
Go on. I'm like,
Yeah.
get out of here, goodbye.
Well, I didn't know it either at first, right? Like when I first learned this about myself and there started to be advocates who would connect, right, with just the general public, I asked them like how do you do this when this happens? How do you address when this happens? They're like, well, it's just autism, brains are brains. I'm like, but no, no, no. My life as a Black woman, I can't unmask in every situation because I'm going to suffer those consequences that we all know so well. Like if you're in public and you're loud or unruly or not making eye contact with authority, like there are real consequences to being autistic and Black and choosing or being unable to mask. It's no
Yeah,
joke.
and people forget that sometimes being able to mask is a luxury, and as Black autistic people, we don't always have that luxury to unmask.
Hmm.
We're labeled, we're demonized for it, and I feel like if more people understood that, we wouldn't have to keep explaining the same thing over and over. But some people, I feel like
Yeah.
they just refuse to believe that race has anything to do with it.
Well, and that's pervasive inside and outside of autism,
Yeah.
right? So,
Yeah. So you've spoken about how the experience of being autistic changes over time,
hmm
especially after 40. What do you think is missing from the conversation about
hmm
autistic adulthood and aging?
pretty much everything. Um, Luckily, because I did start doing this nearly 10 years ago when there was barely any information. And I like to think I'm the OG auntie of advocacy in some way because I've just talked to thousands and thousands of people, each one of them learning who they are after the age of 30. Some people have joined into the, like 90. We had somebody who was 92.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
Yes, it is.
Um, I have been able over time to see how autism and autistic life changes over time. Our bodies change over time. Society looks at us. We are perceived differently as time passes. And life stages don't end at when you graduate high school, right? When you leave high school or that age, if you didn't go to high school. Um, Life stages aren't just childhood, teen, and young adulthood. Like there's careers, there's family, there's finding healthcare, there's finding support, there's bereavement, grief, mourning, elder care, senior life. There's different lifestyles you choose to live. Like if you don't want to ascribe to having a full-time job and living in a city and all of the things that are praised as like normal, all of those things need scaffolding, need support, need representation. We don't have any of that. We don't have anybody talking about how to negotiate any of that, how our coping skills that we may have learned in young adulthood may not apply because we are being perceived differently as we turn 40 and 50 and 60 and et cetera, right? Um, Also just physically, bodies change, like I said, and the way our bodies seem to react to changes in hormones and changes in physical ability and changes in capacity, most of all, burnout, huge issue.
Yeah, I'm somewhat in that right now, burnout.
Let's talk about that really, really quickly. I don't think people quite yet understand that when you are who we are, people who did not know they were autistic and or get support, when you're younger, you have capacity, right? That spoon drawer, it's full. And you have the ability to roll with things, to bounce back after things. But as your body changes, as life goes on, and you have used up those spoons, they refill slower. You can't bounce back as far. And it's not that you don't know how, and it's not that you're just not doing something correctly. You literally have diminishing capacity to carry all these things at once. And so things that used to seem invisible, um, now can destroy you for a week,
Yeah,
right? And that as time goes on, there are senior members who have been in burnout so long, they're just absolutely destroyed. And it's heartbreaking because I don't know how I'm not going to get there, right? Like
right.
there's nobody studying this. There's one study on menopause, one that a friend of mine did 1 or 2 years ago, one in autistic people. So,
That's, yeah, I mean, the reason I think that's so crazy is because, like, as autistic women, we literally have a harder time on our cycles. So
hmm
why aren't there more studies about, when your body starts to change and you go through
hmm
perimenopause and all of that? I'm a millennial. I'm getting there, but I'm not in any of that yet. But still,
hmm
it's like, how come, where's, who's speaking up for that? How come nobody's speaking up for that? I always wonder about that. Like,
Well, that's back to the intersections, right?
yeah, I read articles and I'm like, well, nobody mentioned like autistic women. And,
Nope.
it's been proven that we have a harder time on our cycles.
hmm Well, all genders, well, bodies change, right? And if no one's talking about women, then who's talking about non-binary and trans people? What are their experiences,
Yes.
right? And what about people who cannot get help like us, who cannot get treated equitably in a healthcare setting, who cannot get answers, who are not believed when we say what we're experiencing? It's not trivial. So I want to make sure we are able to talk about that. I want you to know what's coming ahead of you in 10 or 20 years, right? And I want us to be able to share that in community because we do have older members who know what's coming. But think again that it's just them, it's just their bodies and how their lives have unfolded. But when you're me, you
Yeah.
get to see hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people saying the same thing quietly to me or in side conversations.
And it also makes me think about like how they might feel isolated because,
Yeah.
coming from like the older generation where we didn't have autism then, like how they might feel lonely and isolated and like they're not understood because just from the generation that they come from as well.
Yeah. There are positives as well, though. By the time you live through all of this, you can get quite good at finding your voice and your autistic joy. You know what you like, you know who you love, um, and you just can't be bothered with the rest of it. So it's double-edged.
Yeah.
At least what I'm seeing is double-edged.
Yeah, I don't like I remember I signed up for to on your site, but I kind of like didn't know what I was doing. I'm not gonna
Oh,
lie. I was
that's
like,
okay. It was confusing for a while. I'm working on cleaning it up.
well, but I did try. I remember when I had like posted some promo stuff and I was like, oh, this
Hmm.
sounds like, a place of belonging. But when I signed up,
Hmm.
I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. But I do still anyway appreciate that the space is there. So just this goes right into the next question. Autastic has grown into an incredible community for late identified autistic adults. Can you tell about how your organization has evolved and why it's been so
Yeah,
important to
yeah,
intentionally center marginalized autistic voices?
yeah. First though, don't think that you didn't know what you were doing. It could easily and probably was the structure I had set up was not supportive to the how we flow through things because it's built on platforms that aren't built for us, right?
Yeah.
Like that is exactly what I'm talking about. We take it on ourselves that we didn't do something correctly or well enough or try hard enough when everyone else out there has a world that supports them.
Yeah.
Everyone. And we are doing every single day we wake up, we are building our own scaffolding to get through every single day where everyone else has that built for them. So
Right.
please don't think that it was you. It was definitely me. I needed to revamp that thing, which it is now. So, when I first started any of this, it was just because I learned about the word autism and I knew nothing and I wanted to find people
Mm.
who were like me, and there were very, very few. So I started the Facebook group, which grew to like 10 and 15,000 people like quickly. And then I launched because of what was going on and the dynamics in there, and like especially around the murder of George Floyd, people started coming for me because I didn't have my face and my name on Autastic because I wasn't sure I wanted to do that yet, if it was safe to do that.
Yeah.
Um, so they started coming for me, and there was all these weird dynamics that were very, very difficult. I decided to open some spaces that were focused on people of color. Much better. Um, and then because of the nature of social media, the pace of it and the expectations of interaction that weren't working for us, I opened the Autastic community, which is on a separate platform. It's private, and we run it the way we want to run it. We co-create it every time we show up. It's at our pace. You can respond to something that's 3 years old. Nobody will give you any side eye for it. Everyone's happy to talk about because we want to know each other. We want to know that other people want to discuss these issues or even just like what you had for lunch because lunch can be a challenge, right?
I
Like
know it is
every
for me.
single
Like,
thing.
I definitely understand that. I don't think I put no food in my body in 2 days.
There you go, right? And that's again, that's not you failing. And if you suddenly find out there are 200 people who also can't figure out lunch on a regular basis because not of a failing, but because they're building their world every day from scratch, and it's a lot of work, um, it feels different, right? You start to relate to yourself and your world in a different way when you see and when other people are mirroring your experience. It becomes less of an individual, less of a you thing, less of a problem that isn't being addressed, and it becomes ableism, and you start to look
Yeah.
at it in the ways that we look at racism. I don't wake up and go, "Oh, I'm not white enough today." Right? And I can't get I know who I am. I may be white appearing to some people. That makes me even more aware when I go into white spaces, when I go into black spaces. I'm treated differently. I have
Yeah.
to negotiate that, but I know it's not me. I'm not the problem, right? So to look at our lives as autistic people of color in the same way that we look at ourselves as people of color really can help um, make things feel a little better and make life a little easier, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that stuff's not changing today, right?
Right. And people like the way some autistic spaces aren't safe.
No.
That really bothers me. Like I know I do have interactions limited right now on my Instagram page. Everybody was happy and fine when I was just telling my story, but when I started speaking about how race has affected my
Yeah.
story, here come all these trolls. So I was just like, well, I'm just gonna limit my interactions, and you won't be able to say anything.
Yeah. Um, Kayla Smith went through it
Yes,
a long
she
time
was.
ago.
Yeah, she was actually just a
Hmm.
guest on
Okay.
show. I believe her episode came out about a week ago. She did tell me that she
Okay.
stepped away from
Yep.
it for a little while.
Kaishana. Don't know if you know Kaishana. She definitely, or
Yes, I do.
they, I believe
I
Kaishana goes by they.
I see them in my
Mm-hmm.
in my feed, and I'm hoping to have
Hmm.
them speak at our summit. So yes, I've
Hmm.
heard of all
I'm
these.
trying to think, Tyla, Tyla, British woman. She quit a while back for, well, not quit, but was forced to stop. It just isn't, we don't get the same responses from people when we talk about our
No, not at
lives.
all.
We're not afforded the platform in the same way.
I got called all type of retarded black bitches because I asked Mattel, was there a black Barbie?
Oh,
Was there a black autistic Barbie? And I got called all
that's,
kind of, they was like, well, no, there's not a black one because black women are retarded anyway. And just so many things. Like,
oh,
I ended up
wow.
going back to that post just to turn off the comments
I'm
because, like, I'm not going
sorry.
to wake up and y'all not going to stress me on my phone. But I went and I did say something else because I had just put up a post about autism and poverty. And I'm like, you guys have selective
Yeah,
outrage. You don't care that these children are living in poverty and they'll probably never get the resources that they need. But you're upset because I asked Mattel, is there a black autistic Barbie? I didn't understand that.
yeah. And I'll say it again, colorism definitely comes into play.
Yep.
Hmm.
Yes.
No
But
doubt.
um moving on,
Moving on.
um because I could talk about that all day and I will
Hmm.
ramble. So one thing I really admire about your work is your belief in collaboration over competition. And I say that because there are a few like foundation owners who don't like me. So they refuse to support me and they're very popular. And I just always felt supported by you. So, why do you think it's so important for advocates to build coalitions and support one another, especially when serving the Black and neurodivergent communities?
For all the reasons we just said,
Yeah.
I first of all, I learned the concept of coalition from one of our members. Um, Autistic Black Woman Chronicles is her YouTube, by the way. Um, I don't know everything. I don't advocate the way you do. I may not agree with every single viewpoint anyone else has, but if there are five of us, and I need to mention Lavette Jallow as well.
I I
If the,
think I think I may have her on Instagram or
oh,
LinkedIn.
follow her Substack. Follow, I'll send you the link.
Okay.
Um, she's amazing. If there are maybe literally five of us at this point, do we not need to stick together? Do we not need to um sorry, my Bluetooth went sideways there for a second.
It's okay.
It's like music. Wait. Um, we can reach more people who need to
Mhm.
be heard, who
Yeah,
need
that's what my
to
favorite.
hear our message, to need to see our faces. I can't tell you how many times people have messaged me about just seeing my face out here has helped change how they feel, change the isolation they feel. So my fondest dream is if we could all come together and do our thing and amplify each other all the time because there will never be enough of our voices out there.
That's how I feel. And like I love my people, but sometimes as Black people, there's still that crabs in a barrel mentality. So, some people feel like I have to be the one to say this and I have to be the one to bring this up,
No.
or they won't support it.
Yeah.
I've been through that with plenty of people. And like I said, like me, I'm the type of person, if I see somebody doing something wonderful, I want to share it. What can I do? How can I help? Like I noticed that like I was sharing everybody's book when their book came out. When my book came out, it was like crickets, but I was like,
Hmm.
that's fine. It's still my book that I'm most proud of, and I'm still gonna promote it, and I'm still gonna keep shoving it in people's face.
Yes, do it. When I was writing mine, I had that thought like, who needs to hear this again? Because everywhere you go, people are saying, you know, I'm in burnout. Like, what do I have to say about burnout? That's different. Well, it turns out my experience of burnout is different. My observation of people of color in burnout is different. And I need to hear about burnout from random people occasionally because I can't carry everything in my head. So the more we talk about it from all our perspectives, like everything else, there's room. I don't believe in scarcity. I don't believe in competition, really. Um, it's just so let me just pivot here a little bit.
Mhm.
When we said we wanted to do this together, you and I invited submissions from our community, our Black autistic members, to talk about what they wanted to talk about, what they wanted us to talk about. Yeah. And every single person who submitted, which kind of is remarkable and isn't, they all wanted us to talk about the stigma of being autistic and Black
Uh,
within our own communities and within the larger autistic community.
yeah. And even in our community, this black guy came on my page and called me retarded. I was like, people don't talk about the ableism that
Yeah, we got
black
to
people.
stop using that word
Yeah, it,
real
it's
quick.
it feels like they're trying to bring it back for some reason, and I'm like, don't do that. And
Yeah.
I know it's not an easy conversation and it's not a comfortable conversation, but there is a lot of ableism that black people show to black disabled
Hmm.
people, and I know nobody really likes to talk about it and speak about it, but it is very real. I had some guys on YouTube and they were like, you black women are always looking for an excuse for your behavior. Y'all learn the word autistic and never stop using it. And now y'all blame all
Okay.
y'all behavior on that.
Yeah. Well, okay. So this brings us right back to never enough voices, right? And I'm going to shout out the people who brought this up. So Martina K, Kyle the Fallen Marvel, and Autistic Black Women Chronicles on YouTube. They're talking about this on their channels. But if we don't come together as advocates, and if we don't have people with platforms like SZA, who just came out and talked about her autistic diagnosis, if
Mhm.
we don't do that, if we don't show up, then how will that stigma go away? If
Right.
we're still hidden in the shadows and presumed not to exist, which is still real, or if our communities are praying the autism away, which is also still real.
Yeah,
um,
I saw a video of a preacher who was like, God sent down a demon and called it autism. I was like,
oh
okay.
yeah, I was definitely in the formerly possessed in childhood um, segment of society, I guess. That's a whole other story. But here, I'm going to give a list because I took the time to go look this up of people who are celebrities who have come out publicly as autistic and who are Black. So these are faces and voices that we can follow and ask for more information from them and have them amplify the fact that we exist. So we have musician Chrisette Michele. We have the Big Brother favorite Amber Bozotra. We have Questlove. We all know who Questlove is.
Yeah.
NASCAR star Amani Williams. We have the actor Wentworth Miller, who is most famously known for that series Prison Break. Ryder Russo, who's the son of music icon Faith Evans. And maybe most deliciously loudly, Amanda Seales. So
Oh yeah, I
that's a
know.
lot of people.
Amanda, we actually reached out to Faith Evans when we heard that she had like an organization, but she seems to be like more she didn't seem interested. She seemed like more celebrity centered and celebrity focused. So I was like, okay, well, I still commend her for everything she does. If that's her lane, that's her lane.
Yeah, for sure. But there are others like RJ Pete, who was attached to a documentary I was doing, which is a whole other story. Yeah, we are going to talk about that, I think. I'm gonna jump ahead a little bit and talk about the support that people think they're giving us or do give us, if that's okay with you.
It's absolutely okay.
Okay, thanks. People who claim to be supporting autistic people, especially Black autistic people, but are really doing the most harm. So a few years ago, I was approached to do a documentary on Black autistic people. I had thought at that time that that was going to be the culmination of my work in film and my work in advocacy, and it was going to be really like it was going to be everything. Um, so I created the concept and pitch and the art with my producing partner, extended my reputation that I was building and my connections to attach cast. Like we approached celebrities like Holly Robinson Pete, and they were positive and really interested in doing it. Um, that extended to the manuscript I was doing, and all these folks were showing up for us. But my producing partner, who was not autistic, just could not connect to the experiences that we have and
Mhm.
was not hearing what I was telling her that I needed as an autistic person in the workplace. Um, and I think I've heard the story enough time from enough people. I can say that being autistic and maybe unmasked or a little more open just generally leads people to calling us names, saying that we're rude, we're horrible,
Yes. Yes.
we're just all the things, and we're just sitting here going like, what did we do? Like we literally just asked for something or replied to a question, and it just kept, it was so harmful. It was the most harmful experience I have ever had
Wow.
in the workplace was, and because I think it was because I was being open as autistic, because the project was about us.
Yes.
Right. And I don't know if you've seen the PBS documentary I did on the first uh musical superstar, international superstar really. His name was Tom Wiggins, also with this same producer. Um I just they kept saying they were supporting me and I kept saying, no, you're hurting me. You're
Right.
harming me. This is not support. And I think that's a real issue in the larger world that we're in. When we're in the workplace and we ask for accommodations, when we're with our family and we say, we don't have capacity to do all these things. It's not that I'm saying I don't like you. It's not that I'm saying you're doing bad things. Just listen to what we're saying. We can't
Yeah.
do this right now. We need time alone to restore. We need just to be in a dark room for half an hour. I'm not stepping away because I don't like you. I don't have the capacity. I'm going to melt down,
Yeah, I
right?
hate when they treat like us needing accommodations like it's an inconvenience.
That was a much more succinct way to say all of what I just said. Yes, thank you.
Well, I'm glad that you said it because
Well, this is why I don't do video.
it's fine. I'm like
Oh man.
taking in so much information, but um I know you wanted to you had sent another question into my guest coordinator about the gap between the support autistic people need and the support we
Yeah.
get and why
Yeah.
the gap persists. You want to speak about that?
Well, yeah, that's exactly what I was just trying to say. And definitely why I don't do why I don't talk on
You're doing
so
good.
many words. And you just literally
Trust
said it.
me,
Uh,
I had an interview and I was so stressed out after interviewing this person. And I called my dad and he was like, "What's wrong?" And he still talks about it. He was like, "I've never seen you like that. You were
oh.
just so stressed after that interview." But I just feel like
Hmm.
things are flowing and you're doing great.
And this is what happens when we get together. This is what happens when autistic people hang out with autistic people, for real. Like every time we have a social club and someone new shows up, they don't want to come on camera at the beginning, and with good reason. These things are usually not safe places to be. And by the
Yeah,
end, they are laughing and smiling and telling their stories. And they're like, "Oh my God, I like everything you all said, I so relate to." It's like, yeah, because this is what it's like when we find each other.
right.
Um, and the support that we're given out there in holistic land. Um, like we keep it's support we're actively not asking for. We don't need to know why we exist. We don't need to our kids to be taught how to be compliant and look less autistic. We don't need awareness campaigns. People are aware. They're aware.
Yeah, I told somebody that like, yes, awareness is great. Okay, but now that you're aware that you're here, we're here. What are you gonna do about it?
Yeah.
That's what I always say. Like, I don't tell people what to celebrate. Don't celebrate awareness, celebrate acceptance. I don't tell people what to celebrate, but I am a person who leans more toward acceptance and taking action. And
Yeah.
most people don't want to hear about it, but when I start talking about how a lot of things start on a systemic level and that's where the real change is going to be, people don't really want to hear about that either.
It's too big and impossible to think about. I mean, think about how embedded in society ableism is.
Yeah.
That's the one thing we do not talk about. We don't. We treat people, if you say you broke your leg, you get treated one way. If you say your brain broke last week and you need a rest, the stigma is huge. You suddenly you get baby voice at the healthcare provider, like you get treated like some strange, it's embedded and people don't
Yeah.
want to fess up to it.
I went to the doctor's a couple of weeks ago and it was my doctor, but she was training somebody. And like the girl was speaking to me like I was 4 years old. So then after that, I just shut down. I wouldn't talk to her and I refused to talk to her. And then when she left, we finished with my appointment. My doctor spoke to my dad and I was out of there. I was just like, you better get her out of my face.
Yeah. And just because we need support, different kinds of support on different days, different levels, sometimes you need to be with somebody just to communicate in a room with somebody else. And sometimes you're fine. Like it all depends on your capacity on the day. And there's no reason to feel any kind of way about any of it.
Yeah.
But again, perception and the way people treat other people is hard.
Yeah, it
And we're
is.
we're in this space where it's like we exist like this, especially when our needs are met in our own homes. Usually, many of us are quite good. Um, but then when we get out in the world and have to deal with all of that stuff, it's so draining. I'm
Yeah,
not speaking for everyone.
it definitely is. I did put this on Substack about a girl I went to school with, and she was asking my dad all these questions about me, making him all types of uncomfortable. And I was just so aggravated because, like, it was just like she was just so fascinated to learn that I was autistic. And I'm just like,
Mm,
like, get out of my
objectified.
dad's face. And yes, and he said he was trying to be cordial, but then he was like, she followed him to his car and was still talking. So I was pissed off. I was like, don't ask my
Damn.
dad shit. But I
She
was
followed him to his car.
Yeah, she followed him to his
Okay.
car, still asking questions. And I think she has a neurodivergent child, but that still doesn't give
I
you the
would
right
guess that.
to be so invasive. And so I'm just like,
Yeah.
because she was like, well,
And
my son do this, do she do that? Because I don't think she does that. And I was like, I haven't seen her in 15 years. Like, what is she talking about? But okay, I'm not gonna let me stop giving her airtime.
well, it's because there's not support. If that family had the support that they need and the representation that they could see other people like us, she wouldn't have chased your dad down the street, desperate for answers, right?
I was so like, I was so over it. He didn't even want to tell me because he knows how I am about him. He didn't even want to tell me, but he can't hide nothing from me.
And you don't owe the world just because your face is out here on the internet doesn't mean anybody owes anybody anything.
Yeah, I try to say that to people sometimes, but they still feel entitled.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah,
sorry
but
that that happens.
yeah, and my dad handled it better than I probably, if I was there, I probably wouldn't have handled it well, especially like right now I'm going through some things, so I'm like on edge a lot. So I know that
Mm.
if I was there, it would not, I wouldn't have handled that well. But um so wrapping things up, do you have any recent projects or anything that you would like to share?
Oh, I forgot to think about that. I'm so bad at this. Well, there's always the social clubs. I want people to know that we meet every month. We have one, well, we have so many different ways to connect. You can connect in our all member club if you're okay with meeting on Zoom with everyone. You don't have to keep your camera on, you don't have to say anything. You literally can just lurk and feel
Yeah,
part of
I'm
something.
like even though it's like virtual, I'm a very antisocial person and I know I don't really have social skills and people think that I'm weird. So like I'm always like so weary to like join new things. Like I
Okay. Yes. Yes to all of that. And when you show up, you will find you are not weird. that you actually have excellent social skills because look, we're having a great conversation, right?
Yeah.
And like all of that is because we don't get access to each other. So that's why it's so important that I have these spaces available. Please, people, use them. I've we have the BIPOC Social Club every month as well. Both of those are, I think it's under $10 a month that supports the fees for everything that I do. But there are lots of free ways to do it too. I have culture circles where if you want to connect around your heritage and your traditions, there's a culture circle for you and you can do
That's
that.
really cool.
And that's
And like,
free.
and I really I think that's so cool because my family looks like colors of the rainbow. You know, I got a whole white grandma, got Puerto Rican family, so it's just like, with this other stuff mixed in there. So I think that's
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah. So like I build things, right? I am not a community organizer. I am not a TikToker. I build spaces and I make sure that they are tended well and that you're seen and you feel like you belong. That is what I do. It's not glamorous. It doesn't have 700 million followers to make people go, ooh, look at her. But if anybody wants to feel less strange in the world and just have a cup of coffee and talk to someone just about their pet, it doesn't have to be a big issue. You can do that. There are hundreds and hundreds of people, especially over the I didn't finish talking about how I narrowed things down. I'm really doing everything through an Afrocentric view now.
Hmm.
So even though our community is for all people of color and allies, it depends where you go in the community. They're all different spaces.
Yes.
Um, it is really coming from here. It's coming from my experience and hopefully addresses your experience. Um, because I think it's hard out there. I
Yeah,
don't know
it
what
is.
else to say. Too
I
much
know
talking.
sometimes people be like thinking I'm like a snob. No, I'm not a snob. I just
No,
don't
it's
really know
hard.
how to approach people, and I just really don't. I'm not always great with like carrying on a conversation, knowing when it's my turn to speak. Even sometimes when I do interviews, I'm interrupting my guest, and I'm like, I'm
Same.
sorry.
Same though. It's not you. That's just how we communicate.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, so as far as this interview, what would you like for people to, what would you want the takeaway of this interview
Mm,
to be?
that the experiences of being autistic and Black are real. They are distinct. It doesn't mean anyone else's experience are diminished because we live our lives, especially if you're African American. And let me be really clear about that, which I am not, by the way, I'm Canadian. Um, but that particular level of American experience is very real and very difficult. To live alone, to live by yourself and to experience that and think that it's just you and it's not. So I want the takeaway to be come find people. It doesn't cost anything. You can do it in the ways you feel comfortable doing it, text, voice note, video, whatever. Just don't be out there thinking it's you alone, because it's not.
Yeah. So where can everyone find you if you want to be found?
Autastic.com. That's
Okay.
me. Hopefully I've made it easy to find. And there's a contact page. If you have any questions, please just message me. I will answer you and help you find where you need to go.
Thank you. Thank you again,
Thank
Diane,
you.
for having me.
Oh, Anna,
Thank you
you're
for sharing your
adorable. I
powerful
love you.
story. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for
I love
sharing
your
your wisdom
work.
today. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that because like I said, sometimes in these spaces, even some Black people's like, I ain't supporting her. But to our listeners, thank you for tuning in to Black Girl Diagnosed. Your presence and support means everything. And until next time, take care and keep advocating with love.